Every single day, people take unwanted or unused items to thrift and antique stores across the country. But as the saying goes, one man's trash is another man's treasure, and we're here to prove it. Identify valuable things before you throw them away. Join us as we show and tell of treasures found and sold by a full-time reseller with the hopes of helping you find some treasures of your own. Welcome to the What's Sold podcast.
Show because we sort of run up against time.
Yeah.
But I did want to talk about what you sold this week. I know you've got a lot of stuff, so let's do that now as we close out the show. What did you sell this week?
Wonderful. Yeah. Several things. I'm a little slow to getting them fulfilled because because I'm kind of healing from my recent medical issue. And so I've put my store on pause, meaning I can still list items, but I'm not obligated to ship them until the end of my time away, is what they call it, time away from the store. But I did pull a few things up here. I'm going to show you 4 different orders. Two of them involve pocket knives. And so this is like a great example of the types of things I love to sell. Something that's small, can fit in your pocket, and is pretty highly collectible. They talk about sell-through rates, which is the percentage of items that sell in a particular category in every 90 days. And the higher the sell-through rate, the higher percentage of the things that sell, means just the more collectible it is and the more valuable and the more that the public wants that item. And so this is a little old pocket knife. It's probably from the 90s or 1960s. The blades are kind of rusted. I don't even know the brand because it's so rusted I can't actually see it. Usually it's down by right at the bottom of where the folding knife pops out. It could be cleaned up. The blades are in decent condition even for its age. And it involves, like, the handle is antler. So like a deer antler that's been carved and put in as a piece of metal along with the metal. And it's very typical of pocket knives from that age. So this sold for $24. That's pretty good. This is actually something that someone gave me to sell for them, so I didn't pay for it. But this is the kind of thing that I would have paid up to $3 to $5 for if I saw it at a thrift store or an antique store. Another lot is sort of similar, 2 pocket knives. One has 2 blades, the other one has 1. And in this case, I do see the brand, so those are visible on here. One is probably within the last decade or 2. The other one they're both wooden handle with metal. The other one has a number on it too, so that would be like a model number. So there are a lot of people out there who collect. There are a lot of collectible pocket knives, right? And almost every lot of pocket knives or even individual pocket knife I put up sells within a month typically. So they're really good. So these 2 sold for $22, so not as high. But they're also not super collectible or uncommon. They're just...
What brands are they?
So one, Valor, V-A-L-O-R. It's the Super Sport model. That's the newer one. And then another one is a Universal. It says L, F, and C. So that would be, the initials for whatever the company brand is. Model number is 2247. I don't know what that brand is. I looked it up initially, but I don't remember off the top of my head what it was. But it didn't, I put it in a lot because if a knife doesn't seem like it's worth more than $10 or so, I'm not going to sell it individually. I want more money out of that, so I'm going to put it with a small lot so that it just doesn't make sense time-wise for me to be just shipping a bunch of $10 items. You know what I mean? So that's why I put it in there. Yeah. The next couple of items are also in the same category. They are these little bracelets, and they are antique. This is from like the late 1800s, early 1900s. The end of them almost looks like clasps that would be on a pocket watch chain or fob. And they are what appear to be just sort of like twisted rope. And then in the center, they have a little gold-filled piece as well. And to people who don't know about mourning jewelry, and I don't mean like the morning when you get up, but I mean like mourning the loss of someone who has passed away. In the Victorian times, there was a lot of jewelry that was made to be worn by people who had lost a loved one. And it was very common for people to wear jewelry that involved a piece of that person, like literally a piece of that person. And in this case, it's hair. So the what looked to be twisted rope is actually someone's hair. And this was so common, in fact, that you didn't even have to send this off. In some cases, you would send the hair. The coroner or someone who was present when the person passed away would cut as much hair off as they felt like they needed before they were taken to be buried. And they would either send it off to a company that did this, or you could purchase kits where these metal pieces came And then there was instructions on how to weave this or create this. So people in their own homes would take their, let's say a woman's husband died. She would take his hair and she would sit there like she was knitting something, and she would make this bracelet or this necklace, and then she would wear it. It's also common for like, there are even rings that have hair around the ring, gold rings, solid gold rings, but they incorporate hair. A lot of times there'll be lockets that on one side of the locket, as like a pendant, it'll have the person's photograph, and on the other side, a lock of their hair. And this was very common. They wore this around. It's not culturally normal or acceptable today for people to do that. People find it very creepy and gross and weird. But at that time, it was a way for them to remember them. It was a way for them to mourn that loss. And that was just a thing that people did. So these two both sold. They sold for about one sold for $70. The other one sold for $75. These are gold-filled pieces of metal. Some people buy these to collect them. Some people buy them, and if it's solid gold, they just harvest the gold and melt it. People aren't really buying them to wear, I don't think.
Do they know that they're haunted, Matt?
Well, that actually would explain some of the weird noises around the house lately. But if you find a piece of mourning jewelry, they oftentimes incorporated the color black. So if there are, say, cameos or things that are black, that's usually a mourning jewelry. If there's a stick pin that has, agate or a dark black stone, that was probably worn as a mourning jewelry piece. And like I said, you can find rings, brooches, pins, pendants, all of that. If you ever find something like that, though, you should test it, because there are things in solid 14, 18, 22 karat gold, cameos and things that are around glass, around the hair. And so they can have value in the gold, not just historical value. And the last thing I'm going to show is a lot of, I would call them semi-precious gemstones. This is a combination of rough cut gemstones that may or may not have holes drilled through them to be, for people who make jewelry. Others are very rough, meaning they've just been pulled out of the ground and they are something that you could cut or use in jewelry, but they've not been, things have been done to them yet. And then there are even facet cut gemstones in this lot. I say semi-precious, we're talking about things like turquoise, malachite, what do we got in here? Agate, amethyst. We've got some North Carolina rubies that I personally found while out. And so this lot, whenever I have these, I acquire and sell periodically gemstones from high value, larger diamonds and sapphires, rubies, things like that, emeralds, all the way down to these lower quality ones. And things that are lower value, I'll put in a lot like this and sell. So this was on auction for 7 days. It sold for $250.
Nice.
That's a decent, but that's certainly worth it. If you're a jeweler and you want to get some authentic stones to put into jewelry, this is the way a lot of people do that, amateur jewelers and things. So it's great. I can move some of that stuff and but higher quality things, facet cut gemstones that you could immediately put in a ring or something like that. I'll try to sell those individually. I'll put the carat weight. I'll give them the millimeter diameter and give as much information as possible. But with this, it was just photographs. Hey, this lot includes this variety of things, and just look at the pictures to see what you're getting.
Cool. That's awesome. I was thinking about, that's just one more example of where you collect these things and put them in a lot.
Yeah.
And probably you've already made your money back from the original purchase.
Most of these, exactly. Most of these came in like rock or mineral collections that I purchased and have sold off in parts. I wait till I have a decent amount that I want to put in a lot together. Otherwise, I'm selling them individually. But it all depends. So I wasn't real concerned about how much I made in this. These aren't terribly valuable. I was happy with that sale. But yeah, all in all, probably $50 to $60 was what was in this. And likely I have nothing in it at this point, because I've sold enough from those other lots that they came in to where all my money is back to me.
Right. Well, we are out of time. So I will say, remember to follow, like, and subscribe, write a review if you get a chance. Any last words, Matt, for us before we head out?
Yeah. Don't get a hernia.
Yes, and Matt, please heal quickly.
They're not pleasant. That's right.
Yeah. And we will pick up where we left off on difficult customers, but the first part was so much that we ran out of time. So anyway, we will be back with a brand new show next week. We hope everybody has a great week.
Take
Please
care,
send
everyone.
us an email and let us know what's going on. Otherwise,
Thanks.
Have a great day.